Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunatu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us recite the verse 10. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi sthitah ekakiyata chittatma nirashira parigraha Suchau deshe pratishthapya sthiramasanamaatmanah natyuchritam nati nicham chailajina kushottaram tatraikagram manah kritva Yata chittendriya kriyaha upavishyasane yunjyat yogamatma vishuddhaye. Shuchau deshe pravisthapya sthiramasana atmanah. Arrange one's asanam or the seat in a clean place, preferably also a place which has a certain sanctity. Sthiram, let it be firm, let the seat as well as mat, they be firm. Natyuchritam, let that place not be too high. Natinicham, let it not be too low. Chailajana kushottaram, what is the mat made of? Lord Krishna says that typically that it has these three levels. It is Shaila, Ajinam, Kusha, Uttaram. On the top there is a soft cloth, below that is maybe deer skin, and below that also is a mat made of grass, Kusha grass. So as we say, the idea is Kusha grass helps us from dampness. The deer skin may help us from the cold, and the soft cloth prevents the irritation of the skin. Sometimes they say that the deer skin also retains the energy within you. That also is what is said. As we said, there is no hard and fast rule about this, but what it is that you should sit in a place where you are free from the dampness, cold and things like that, because otherwise it can affect the body if you sit there for a long time. Tatra upavishya, seated on that mat or asanam, yada chittendriya kriyaha, having controlled the mind as well as the activities of sense organs, ekagram manah krutva, making the mind ekagram or single pointed. Yogam yunjat, one should concentrate one's mind on the object of meditation, atma vishuddhe, for the purpose of purification of the mind. So here Lord Krishna says that the meditation is performed as a means of purification of the mind. Now meditation can be two ways, as we'll see. Either it can be on Saguna Brahma, meaning Lord having attributes as creator, sustainer, dissolver, omniscient, omnipotent, Ishtadevata. In which case it will be prayerful meditation. It will be mental worship, then with a prayerful mind, which helps us achieve the grace of Ishvara. which also helps us gain an identification, and that brings about purification of mind in terms of removal of these likes and dislikes. Also, it makes our self or ego sattvic. This meditation upon Saguna Brahma or Brahman with attributes involves a duality between the meditator and meditated, between devotee and God. And therefore, that meditation of the nature of worship or of prayer will not eliminate ego. However, it will make the ego purified, it will make the ego sattvic. And that way, purification of mind here is of the nature of removing the impurities of likes and dislikes, at the same time making the ego subtle or sattvic. And then, when meditation is performed on Nirgunam Brahman, what is Nirgunam Brahman? Brahman beyond attributes. And Brahman beyond attributes means the self. Understand this. This must become very clear. That Brahman beyond attributes or God beyond attributes, what they call transcendental. So transcendental means self, understand? Because if it transcends, transcends everything, then of course it can never become an object of our experience and knowledge. So Brahman or God or consciousness beyond names and forms, free from names and forms and attributes, is nothing but the self. Because understand that only self is consciousness, everything else is the object of consciousness. Everything other than the self is naturally the object of my knowledge, object of consciousness. And whatever is object of consciousness will always be possessed of some attributes or the other. Whatever I am conscious of will always have some attribute. It may have a form, it may have a name, it may have a quality. Whatever I am conscious of must necessarily have a qualification. Basically, what I am conscious of is a qualification. How about the one who is conscious of the qualifications? The one who is conscious of qualifications must necessarily be without qualifications. For example, the light which illumines different colors, such as this flower which is pink color, these leaves which are green. So light that illumines different colors, that light must be colorless. Then alone it can illumine different colors. So also consciousness which objectifies any object, having various attributes, must itself is compared to light which illumines the colors. Consciousness illumines various attributes such as name, form, quality. Therefore, the consciousness that illumines attributes must necessarily be free from attributes. See, if the light itself were red, then it cannot illumine red color. To illumine red color, it must not have redness. To illumine yellow color, it should not have yellowness. To illumine various colors, it should be free from colors. And so also for the consciousness to illumine various attributes, means various qualifications. Like name, form, quality, the consciousness must necessarily be devoid of those attributes. So there's only one entity that is beyond attributes, and that is the self, understand? So although they talk of Brahman as beyond all attributes, transcendental, see, when other traditions talk of God as transcendental, when they say God is in heavens or in sky, etc., what they mean is that God is transcendental. Meaning it transcends all attributes, names and form. There is such an opposition against worshipping God in form, because how can you assign form to God? He is transcendental. He is beyond all the forms and attributes. But if God is transcendental, meaning that He is beyond somewhere, He can never become an object of our knowledge, because whatever we can know is always going to have some attributes. And so that God can never become object of knowledge even after death also, because wherever you are, suppose you go to paradise with this body or some body, then also if you have to see God, if that God is transcendental, you can never objectify Him. Transcendental can never be objectified. That alone is called transcendental, that alone is called beyond attributes which cannot be objectified. Yes, we say God is transcendental, no doubt. He is immanent as well as transcendental, meaning is all pervasive as well as beyond everything. But the transcendental is not something different from me. It is my own self. Therefore, you don't have to experience God. See, when Vedanta talks about Brahman, Brahman doesn't have to experience it is my own self. I just have to recognize what is rather than creating an experience, because Brahman is consciousness, the self is consciousness, is self-effulgent endeavor, always experienced. There cannot be an experience unless you experience yourself, is it not so? For any experience, I must be there, the experiencer must be there. So I is always experience, that I am is a matter of experience, no effort is required to know that I am. How do you know I am? How do you know that you are? Are you there? Yes, I am here. How do you determine you are there? Are you there? Let me see whether I am there or not. Should I pinch myself? Let me see if I am, should I see myself? Should I touch myself? What do I require in order to determine that I am? Well, let me think whether I am there or not. But I can think only when I am. I can pinch only when I am. All these things are possible provided I am. That I am is a self-shining, self-effulgent fact. Thank God. If God was only transcendental, you will have never known, and if it would not matter to us really. If he is never experienced, never a part of your life, it doesn't matter if there is there or not. There are so many black holes and all kinds of stuff is there, which never figure in your life. It doesn't matter if they are there or not. If they figure in your life, then of course it matters. So understand that transcendental God is always involved in your life because it's your own self. There cannot be an experience without self, which is Brahman, which is God. That very same self, very same God or consciousness, alone manifests as what we call this material world of names and forms. So difference between scientists and Vedantin is, scientist says that consciousness is the property of matter. That by some kind of a combination of matter, consciousness is created. Vedantin says that matter is a manifestation of consciousness. How do you prove? You can't prove either of them really. Scientists think that they're proving, you can't prove. To say that consciousness was created some million years ago when there was a primordial soup, How do you say consciousness was created? We say that consciousness became manifest. When you switch on the light and the bulb is glowing, you can't say electricity is created. Electricity which is there was not manifest, just became manifest. Anyway, the point is that what is consciousness is and what is consciousness. Therefore, even transcendental also can become the object of meditation by way of meditating upon the self or meditating upon the meditator. We call it contemplation, not meditation in terms of objectification. So meditation upon Lord with attributes involves objectification, involves visualization, involves the functioning of the mind. And you maintain a given thought of Shiva, Krishna, Om Namah Shivaya. It can be even a name, it can be a mantra. Whereas meditation upon the self involves seeing the nature of the self, not objectifying the self, but seeing the nature of self. Therefore, meditation is of two kinds. One is meditation of the nature of mental worship or prayer, which is called upasana. Second is meditation upon the very self. Our Swamiji likes to use the word contemplation. Just to distinguish it from meditation, using the word contemplation. But then, therefore, meditation upon Nirguna Brahman, or meditation upon Brahman beyond the guna, has to be as the self. It cannot be as something different from myself. Because whatever is different from myself is going to be limited. So, Atma Vishuddhi, both these kind of meditations bring about what we call purification of mind. Meditation upon Ishtadevata such as Sri Krishna or Lakshanamurti or whatever, brings about purification in terms of removal of the remnants of likes and dislikes and making the ego subtle or subdued. And then meditation upon Brahman as the very self brings about the purification in terms of completely resolving the ego. Or brings about purification in terms of becoming free from the identification with this body-mind complex, what we call the viparita bhavana or the hata buddhi or the habitual error of identifying with the body. The point is that meditation does not produce a new knowledge. Meditation is as a result of knowledge. You can contemplate upon what you already know. Or you can meditate upon what you already know. Therefore Lord Krishna says, Yunjyat yogam atma vishuddhe, therefore may you meditate for the purification of self, meaning purification of mind. Therefore, in order for a person to perform meditation of the nature of worship or prayer, there must be the knowledge of who I want to pray. So if you want to meditate upon Lord Dakshinamurti, then you would know about Lord Dakshinamurti, about his form, about his glories, and accordingly you will be able to fix your mind and maintain the train of those thoughts. For contemplating about the self, it will be necessary also to know the self through Shravanam, Mananam. Having listened to the teacher, having listened to Vedanta, Upanishads, having reflected upon that, having understood what the nature of self is, then one can contemplate upon the self. Having said that, Lord Krishna gives some more instruction in the 13th verse with reference to the position of the body, etc. So the 13th verse tells us, Samam kaya shiro grivam dharayanna chalam sthiraha samprekshanasikāgram svam dishaschānamalokayan prashantātmā vigatabhihi brahmachari vrate sthitah manas sanyamya macchittah yukta asita matparah. Also, by the way, Lord Krishna says, Samam kaya shirogrivam. While meditating, holding the samam in a straight line, kaya, the trunk, shiraha, the head, grivam, the neck. The trunk, the neck and the head should be held in a straight line. Dharan, achalam should also be steady and not moving. Sometimes people have a habit of moving. You know, when they do some chanting, when they do, some prayer, then there is a habit also of sometimes moving the body. So one Swamiji was telling, says there was another brahmachari. Every day he was performing, he was reciting this Devi Mahatmya, this Saptasha, Durga Saptashati. So this Swamiji saw this fellow, while reciting, always he was doing, he said, "Hey, come on, stop it. Keep your body straight." When the fellow did that, he forgot everything, He could not recite because there was some kind of, a synchronism, I guess, with movement of the body and his reciting. Maybe that's okay, but as far as while performing meditation, it is necessary that the body should be steady because the movement of the body also has an effect upon disturbing the mind. Therefore, Lord Krishna says, Dharayan achalam sthiraha, steady as well as without any motion. So this is also so that the center of gravity of the body also remains in the middle, so that without your effort, the body can just remain in this position. Because while you are in fact focusing your attention upon the object of meditation, at that time your attention is not on the body. And therefore, it would happen that you lose the consciousness of the body because your mind is filled with consciousness upon what you want to meditate. At that time, there may not be a conscious attempt to maintain the position of the body. So therefore, the body must be so positioned that it remains itself in the position if its center of gravity is in the middle, as low as possible. Therefore, the posture in which you sit is like the lotus posture, etc., or siddhasanam as they call it, where the base is quite wide. So base is wide and the body is straight, so that the center of gravity also is as low as possible, as in the center as possible, so that the body can maintain its own balance without drooping, falling, etc. Because when that happens, again you get disturbed. So it is desirable that the body does not become a source of disturbance to you, or as I said, the body should not be an issue. By aches and pains and stuff like that also, body. That is why these yogasana, etc. are prescribed, so that the body enjoys a certain harmony, so that during meditation that does not remain an issue. And also choose a place which is free from mosquitoes and insects and stuff like that, otherwise they can also disturb. Choose a place which is not too hot, not too cold, not damp. So all these also are prescribed so that those things do not disturb you while you are performing your meditation. Dharayan achalam sthiraha. Now, having done that, then Lord Krishna says a very interesting thing. Sampreksha nasikagrang swam. Looking at the tip of one's own nose, Lord Krishna says, now look at the tip of the nose. Swam nasikagram. One's own tip, not somebody else's, but one's own tip of the nose. In the 5th chapter, at the end of the 5th chapter, Lord Krishna also told 3 verses summarizing meditation. Then Lord Krishna said, Bhror Madhye Pranamavesh Bhror Madhye. So may you focus your attention in the place and the spot between the 2 eyebrows. So sometimes they say that, may you focus your attention in the spot between the 2 eyebrows. Here Lord Krishna says, may you fix your gaze at the tip of the nose. Whether the tip is here or there also, but then tip of the nose. The idea is that this is to be done for some time for gathering and concentration of the mind. When the pupils are steady, then they also have the effect of steadying the mind. When the mind is restless, you see the pupils also the pupils also move in different directions. And therefore, if you make your pupils steady, how to make them steady? One way is by gazing at the tip of the nose, as Lord Krishna says, or by focusing or gazing at the tip of a point between the eyebrows. Sometimes it gives a headache and things like that, so you have to see what suits you. But idea is to make the mind steady by making the eyes also steady, that's all. Then you can close the eyes. It's not recommended that you should perform meditation with the eyes open, because then it is possible that the movements around can also distract you, or the forms and things can distract you. Therefore, it is desirable that the eyes are closed. Although some people report, Swami, as soon as I close my eyes, the mind starts wandering. If it helps you to keep your eyes gazing at the tip of the nose, helps you do that. That's okay. But then, we are not here going to meditate upon the tip of the nose, understand? So gazing at the tip of the nose doesn't mean that you are meditating upon tip of the nose. That is just a little technique. So teachers sometimes suggest certain techniques of just quietening the mind or concentrating the mind. One Swami used to say that one of the methods you can employ is that your tongue in your mouth should not touch anything. Keep your tongue such that it does not touch the palate, does not touch the bottom, doesn't touch the teeth, does not touch anywhere. That will help you to concentrate your mind also. Or there are other methods also of concentration, that one can take some deep breath and then simply observe the process of breathing. Without interfering the breathing process, simply observe. And by doing that also, mind becomes quiet. So different methods are employed, sometimes necessary, different techniques. A technique can be helpful in terms of focusing or concentrating the mind. Samprekshya nasikagram swam disascha anavalokayan. And then, if you're gazing at the tip of the nose, then Lord Krishna says, do not look around in different directions. Because when eyes are open, then there is always curiosity. The mind is a very curious thing. And therefore just wants to be kept informed of what's around. Therefore, through ears also, when it hears sound, it just pays attention. Who has come? Who is talking? Or the eyes, it says something, immediately it wants to know what's going on there. Therefore, Lord Krishna says that keep away from this kind of curiosity and make it very clear to your mind that right now the only agenda I have is meditation and nothing else. So all of this is said by way of preparation for meditation. Then also further Lord Krishna says, Prashantatma. Now this verse 14 talks about the meditator. The earlier verses told us about the preparation for meditation and also the posture of body, etc. Now, what's the nature of meditation, or what should be the disposition of the meditator himself? Lord Krishna says, Prashantatma Vigatavhi Brahmachari Vratesthita. Prashantatma, one whose mind is completely tranquil. Prakarshana Shanta Atma means Antahkaranam. So one whose mind is tranquil. Prashantatma. Vigatavhi, one who is free from all the fears. Brahmachari Vratesthita, a person who is established in the vow of Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya means celibacy, etc. Manas Sanyamya, and controlling the mind. Matchittaha, becoming one whose mind is focused on me. Yuktaha asida matparaha. Lord Krishna says that mat chittaha, becoming focused on me, mat paraha, with the desire only to attain me, asita, one should sit down and meditate in this manner. So first is prashantatma, meaning that our antahkaranam, our mind, should be made tranquil. What disturbs the mind, as we've been saying, are the raga and dveshas. The likes and dislikes disturb the mind. Therefore, the first step can be that I make my mind free from likes and dislikes by what they call pratipaksha bhavana. If disturbing thoughts do occur in the mind, if they don't occur in the mind, if the mind is quiet or tranquil to begin with, then one doesn't have to worry about it. But however, while beginning a meditation, because what has happened is that before meditation, maybe I was doing something or the other, and it's possible that the effect of that thinking process continues to remain for a while. If that is so, then it's possible that the mind is not quiet right away when I start meditation. In which case, it is necessary that the mind should be first made tranquil. Raga and dvesha, attachment, aversion, if they arise in the mind, they should be neutralized by what we call pratipaksha bhavana. Pratipaksha bhavana, as we explained, is deliberately taking the opposite position. When a disturbing thought arises, such as a thought of anger may arise for whatever reason, because the samskaras are there, the past experiences are there, and past experiences have left many impressions in the mind. It is possible that those impressions may bring about certain thoughts at this time. And then what we need to do is to neutralize that disturbing thought. As we said, where thought of anger arises, then neutralize that by the thought of forgiveness, by the thought of compassion. This is the story in the Bhagavad Upanishad tells us about this method of pratipaksha bhavana. This story also you heard, but anyway, for those of you who have not heard, I'll just tell you briefly. The Bhagavad Upanishad describes that Prajapati, the creator, has had these three kinds of progenies. The Devata, the gods who live in the heavens, Danava, the demons who live in the nether worlds, and Mana, the human beings who live on the earth. Three worlds are there. The heavens, the earth, and the Patala, the nether worlds. The gods, the humans, and the demons. This is the threefold progeny of Prajapati or Brahma, the creator. So once upon a time, all these people thought, let us go to the creator, to our great grandfather, and let us ask for some instruction, some upadesha, some teaching which can be helpful to us in our day-to-day life. So all these three sent their representatives. They went to Brahmaloka where Brahmaji resides. They went there, stayed there for a period of time. When you go to ashram, then you should naturally follow the rules of the ashram. The food is simple, generally, So, here in fact they say we get food better than the home, but anyway, some you eat too much here. In 1 week they put on 2 or 3 kilograms of weight. Usually food in the ashram is simple. There is no tea and no coffee and stuff like that in the typical ashram. So prashantatma, one whose mind is free from the raga dvesha. We are talking about that story as to how the devatas, danavas, manavas went to Brahmaji, lived there a life of austerity and penance for a period of time, and then they were invited by Brahmaji, one after the other, one by one. First the devatas were invited, and Brahmaji asked them, what for have you come here? Sir, you have come here to seek some instruction from you which can be helpful in our day-to-day life. So Brahmaji said, the. He said one letter, the. Hey, did you understand what I said? Yes, sir. You said the, which means damyata, have self-control. Because the devatas live in the heavens. They have all the objects of pleasure available. Therefore the life is usually pleasure-seeking, life of indulgence, which is called kama. Kama means not just the desire, but the tendency to indulge. When I cannot control my desire, or I cannot control my impulse, that is called kama. So, devatas are characterized by those having this tendency to indulge. And when that happens, the self-control, or control the self, atma samyama, check your mind, control it. Then came the Danavas, the demons came. They also were told the. They understood, yes sir, you mean dayadhvam, have daya, have compassion. Because the Danavas, the demons are very cruel. Anger and cruelty is very common to them. And therefore, Brahmaji said the dayadhvam, have daya, have compassion. Meaning whenever anger arises, then neutralize it by compassion. Then the human beings went. They also were told the human beings understood, datta, may you give, may be generous, may be charitable. Because human beings are very greedy. Greedy means not being satisfied with what they have, at the same time not parting with what they have, because of a sense of insecurity. So, thus Brahmaji gave the Pratipaksha Bhavana, the method of neutralizing these three kinds of vrittis or the thoughts, or the negative thoughts that arise, kama, krodha and lobha. This tendency to indulge. Control, always have the boundaries and make sure that you do not go beyond the boundaries. Krodha, replace it, diffuse it by compassion, forgiveness. And lobha, greed, diffuse it by generosity, charity, large-heartedness. So similarly also thus we can, as I said, when we find any of these vrittis or thoughts arising in the mind at the commencement of meditation, then we can, by this method of Pratipaksha Bhavana, or deliberately assuming the opposite position, neutralize them and thus quieten the mind. Prashantatma, vigata bhihi, may the mind become free from fear. Apparently, make the mind free from fear, in case fear arises, in case. Sometimes fear arises in the mind of a person. Because if you are deeply concentrating, then you lose the awareness of your body. And then sometimes the person feels that I am going away, because I equate my existence with that of the body. When awareness of body is not there, one feels that I am dying, I am going. So Lord Krishna says, do not worry, nothing is going to happen to you. You are not because of body, body is because of you. And therefore, you very much remain even when you are not aware of the body. Somebody thinks that he is going out of the body. That kind of thing doesn't happen. You are in here. That may be a feeling. And therefore, make the mind free from fear. Also, have faith in the Lord that He takes care of you, and therefore there is no need for fear. Fear can occur due to different reasons, but then make the mind free from fear. In case that is an issue, if there is no fear, nothing to worry about. Brahmachari vrate sthitaha. Another thing that is said about the meditator is that one who is sthitaha, one who is established in brahmachari vrata, in a life of brahmachari. Brahmachari really means a student, the one who lives with the teacher. And life of the student is characterized by serving the teacher. Of course, following the vow of celibacy, brahmacharya. going out and getting bhiksha for the teacher. So brahmachari vrate sthita means it is not at that particular moment, but this person is living a life of a brahmachari, meaning he is living a life of an aspirant who is devoted to his teacher, who is devoted to Ishvara or God, with a commitment to pursue the knowledge of worship, who also lives a life of celibacy and life of non-indulgence. So that kind of lifestyle also should be there for it to be compatible to this meditation. So, brahmachari vrate sthita. I don't know why does Lord Krishna mention it here, because what relevance it has to the process of meditation. Not that at that time he is doing at that time he is going to bhiksha and serving the teacher. Brahmacharya means serving the teacher, living with the teacher, serving the teacher, getting the bhiksha. So Shankaracharya says, brahmacharya vratam brahmacharyam guru shushra bhiksha bhuktyadi. Guru shushrusa, serving the teacher, bhiksha bhuktyadi, eating the food that is begged, and not cooked, etc. Tasmin sthitaha tadanusthata bhavet. Meaning that the meditator should recognize that his or her life should be life of austerity. Should be life of austerity, life of simplicity, life of penance, life of service, life of devotion. All that should be there, because all that kind of life and the kind of mind that it generates is very helpful for meditation. Then manas sanyamya, controlling one's mind, making the mind free from all the thoughts of the sense objects, etc., all external thoughts. Matchitta and matparaha. So, matchitta, thinking of me, matparaha, having me as ultimate goal. So Lord Krishna says the meditator should think of me. Now we can choose what we want to think of. Whatever it is that we have chosen as the object of meditation, that is what we should think of. That is called meditation when we maintain a steady flow of thoughts of the object of meditation. One definition is sajatya vritti pravaha. Sajatya vritti pravaha. Vritti pravaha means a sort of flow having the same subject matter. Suppose, for example, mentally you are repeating this mantra, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, then every thought is the same jati. The previous thought was Om Namah Shivaya, present thought is Om Namah Shivaya, following thought also is Om Namah Shivaya, meaning that every thought is the same kind. And thus maintaining this flow of thought of the same kind without interruption from other kinds of thought is called dhyanam or meditation. So this is what the meditator is attempting to do, to maintain that thought flow. We said earlier that this is very helpful and this one should do, because usually the mind has habit of thinking anything and everything with no consistency. It keeps on jumping from one thought to the other. There is no discipline at all. And therefore, we can provide a discipline to the mind also, that it is deliberately made to focus upon one thought. It is always very helpful if we choose the object of meditation as a form of Lord, let us say, to begin with, where, about which we have reverence and devotion. And therefore, people sometimes ask Swamiji, which mantra is the best? That mantra is the best which invokes in you a devotee. Because the one who should perform this meditation of worship, mental worship, should be a devotee. So is Gayatri Mantra the best? It may be the best. But when I recite Gayatri Mantra, it doesn't do anything to me. On the other hand, if I read Ram, suppose it invokes a devotion in me because of my association. That is why the concept Ishta Devata. Devata means a form of God or deity. Ishta means one that is desirable or one that is worshipful. Therefore, a form such as Rama, Krishna, Shiva, Dakshinamurti, Devi, anyone, for which I have devotion, I have reverence and devotion. And one can make an effort also to in fact cultivate devotion. If you want to cultivate devotion for Lord Rama, for example, then read Ramayana. So read about, make yourself familiar about the glories of Rama, his greatness, dharma. So Ramayana describes the greatness of Lord Rama. So this Mahatma Jnanam, the knowledge of the greatness of the Ishvara, has the effect of invoking the devotion, because we do discover devotion for someone who is very reverential, who is worshipful, who is great. Therefore, learning about the greatness or glories of the Ishtadevata. That is the reason why these Puranas are very important. Reading about or listening to Katha or the Leela, the sports of the Lord, his heroic deeds, his compassion, his commitment to values, all of this is very beautifully described in different Puranas. And therefore it's a good idea to study or keep in touch with the Purana of the Ishtadevata. If Lord Krishna is Ishtadevata, then Bhagavata Puranam, or if Vishnu, Lord Narayana, then also Bhagavatam or Vishnu Puranam. If Shivaji is Ishtadevata, Shiva Puranam is there, and so forth and so on. So that you know, you are familiar with the Lord, you are familiar with the glories, about the greatness. And therefore by uttering that very name, Shiva or Rama or Krishna, all that you know about that deity also is reminded, and that is how in the spirit of worship is arises in the mind, and the devotee is invoked from it. Therefore, for worshipping, it is important that a devotee is invoked from it. It is a devotee who should perform the worship, and not just an indifferent, uninvolved person. So much chitta, Lord Krishna is thinking about me. Now by me, it is not meant just Lord Krishna, the particular form. If Lord Krishna happens to be your Ishtadevata, then that. But whoever is Ishtadevata, because we know very well that all the various devatas are nothing but the manifestation of one Ishvara, one God. And therefore, we are only worshipping Ishvara or God through any devata. Every devata represents only, ultimately, Saguna Brahma or Ishvara. So, mat chittaha, mat paraha. Also, what is the purpose for which I am meditating? What's the goal of this meditation? Says, mat paraha, may you look upon me as the ultimate goal. Meaning that you are worshipping me for my sake. You are worshipping me not for getting some benefit from me. I mean, we go and we go to temples, we worship Lord and make all kinds of demands of prayers. So Lord, please do this to me and give me this and so forth. This is okay. But then it is not really worship. It is worship always what we call sakama, worship with desire. In that case, the desire will be fulfilled, but then we remain again as inadequate, or we remain still only seekers and beggars. Therefore, the worship should ideally be without any demands for compensation for what I do. Therefore, mat paraha. Lord Krishna says that while worshipping me, do not ask for any benefit from me, worship me for my sake. How would you like if someone praises you and say all kinds of good things to you, and when you are pleased, says, Swamiji, may I have, will you please give me this donation? Will you please do this to me? When they please you for getting some benefit from you, some people get upset. Swamiji, he is using me. So they say that they are using me. They are using my position. So flatter somebody, make him favorably disposed to you, and then ask for the favor. That's what we do when we go to temples. Go to Tirupati. Every year he goes to Tirupati and puts some gift also there, hundi. His name, Tirupati. Lord, please help me to get this contract, help me get this business. Which he will have. Fortunately, God happens to be large-hearted, infinite-hearted. He doesn't mind being exploited. Otherwise, we are using him really. You go to him for the sake of money, or you go to him for some material benefit. So then who is important? Is Tirupati or God important, or that thing is important? Apparently, we are worshipping him, but keeping some other goal in mind. So Lord Krishna says, no. Worship me for my sake. That means that you do not want anything other than me from me. He would like that. So mat chittaha mat paraha. So this is how the process of meditation. Two things are told here. Mat chittaha mat paraha. What is meant by meditation is mat chittaha, maintaining a thought flow of the object of meditation, which can be Saguna Brahma, which can be Ishta Devata, which is Brahman or God with attributes. Because in the beginning the mind has fascination for a form, it has fascination for name, it has fascination for some attributes. It's a good idea also to begin the meditation with Saguna Brahma and then slowly to slide into what we call the meditation upon Nirguna Brahma, the self. Thus in a typical session of meditation, one can begin with meditating upon Om Namah Shivaya or any name. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Narayana, Om Namo Bhagavad, whatever you want. That is, meditating upon the Ishta Devata. That's how the mind becomes calm, it becomes devoted, and becomes concentrated upon the mantra. And then slowly, one can then contemplate upon the meaning of the mantra. Om Namah Shivaya. Salutations to Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva means Lord with a particular form and attributes. But ultimately, what is Lord Shiva? Lord Shiva is nothing but auspiciousness, is nothing but ananda, is nothing but knowledge or consciousness, and therefore every name stands for both Saguna Brahma as well as Nirguna Brahma. It is up to us to invoke what we want. From any deity we can invoke Saguna Brahma or we can invoke Nirguna Brahma. So first start with invoking Saguna Brahma and then contemplate upon what the name stands for, what's the content of the name. Every name ultimately means Nirguna Brahman, it means consciousness, it means Satchidananda, it means the self. Namaha. Then that Namaha results into ultimately surrendering, meaning completely dissolving my ego. That Namaha culminates into identity, namely, I am Shiva, I am Shiva. Then that meditation turns into contemplation, no more now meditating upon something different from myself, but now contemplating upon my own nature that I am Shiva. Based on all the Shravanam etc. that I have done, then one can contemplate upon one's own self. And that is conducive to removing the final impurity in terms of looking upon myself as Jiva. Question was asked, Swami, what's the difference between Jivatma and Paramatma? When I am meditating, I am a Jivatma, but then I contemplate I am Paramatma. What's the difference between Jivatma and Paramatma? Difference between an ornament and gold. As long as the ornament thinks that I am just an ornament or bangle, so long it looks that it feels it is confined to a name and form. When the ornament shifts its identification from name and form to what it really is, then it can say, I am gold. So in the beginning, ornament can remain as an ornament and surrender to gold or worship gold. And at the end, it can say that I am gold. So thus, the meditation can begin with worshipping Saguna Brahma what we call a prayerful meditation, which can culminate into what we call contemplation or meditation upon one's own self, seeing the fact that Shiva is my nature, seeing the fact that Satchidananda is I am, based on what we have done during Shravanam and Mananam. Yukta Hasid, one may thus concentrate one's mind, seated, and as Lord Krishna will say later on, don't think of anything else, thinking of the self and nothing else. What happens is stated in the 15th verse, we'll see tomorrow morning. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha.